Hey Internet, Daniel here. Today I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do some whiteboarding. Why am I going to do this? Well, I've always really enjoyed whiteboarding, and I love teaching people and taking complicated topics and translating them down to simple topics. So I'm going to give this a shot, and I'm going to call these type of videos Daniel Draws Clouds. Why am I going to give it that silly name? Well, in my previous job, I did a lot of training and teaching new people. And as part of that, I would do a lot of whiteboarding sessions. And inevitably, when I was doing these whiteboarding sessions, I would draw a picture of a cloud. To indicate the internet. And it generally looked similar to this cloud, very lumpy. So, welcome to Daniel Draws Clouds. So today, I want to talk about PON, or more specifically, just PON. And what is PON, how does it work, and what are all the different flavors of it, at least some of them. So PON, P-O-N, is passive optical network. Look at that. It's almost legible. Passive optical network. So it is a network to get the internet from one location to the other. It's optical, so it's over fiber optics, and it's passive. And the most important part here is the passive. That's what is the magic of PON. So how does this work? So I'm going to do a diagram. So generally, there's a data center where the BSP, the broadband service provider, or what we used to call them, the ISP, the Internet Service Provider, hosts their equipment. So this is a controlled environment, a data center with lots of servers and networking equipment. And inevitably, the Internet gets fed into there. Now, gross oversimplification of how the Internet gets there, but needless to say, the Internet gets to this data center. And now the BSP or the ISP needs to get the Internet from there to its subscribers' homes. There we go. And how does it do that? Well, many different ways. You can run copper, you can run fiber optics, you can do it wirelessly, but more and more we're moving to fiber because fiber is the fastest medium we have. It has the most speed and it's the most future-proof. So the broadband service provider has the internet, it's coming into their data center, they need to get it to their subscribers. So there's many different ways to do this, but today we're talking about PON. So passive optical network. So how does PON work? So PON, there's a fiber, well there's many fibers, but in this case we're just going to look at one. There's one fiber leaving the data center and it's going to go to an intermediary. It's going to go to a pedestal or a vault or a cabinet. It could go many kilometers from the BSP to get to this cabinet. And this cabinet is generally in a community or a town or even a suburb, and it serves that group of subscribers. So let's draw some houses. These are our subscribers, and we'll just do 3 for simplicity. Obviously it feeds a lot more than that. So what a passive optical network is it's split. So there's a fiber coming from this house going to this cabinet. So as opposed to having to get the fiber all the way from the houses back to where the BSP has their networking equipment, it goes to this intermediary. And what's in here? A splitter. So in this case, we're using kind of a standard for PON. Many people do 1x16s, 1x32s, 1x64s. And what does that mean? It means there's one fiber coming in, 16 going out. So it's feeding 16 houses. And if it's 32, then it's 32 houses. So in here is an optical splitter. And all that really is a bunch of fiber optics and glass that have been fused together to have light come in, light go out. And it splits it. So the light travels across here, it hits the splitter, it splits, and goes down each pipe to each customer. And in this cabinet, there's no power. That's the beauty of PON, is it's passive. You don't have to have electricity. You don't have to have cooling. It can be underground. It can be sealed up. It can be in a weatherproof vault. And it's totally passive. The only electronics are at the houses and here. So what are the different versions of PON? So we understand what a PON is. It's a passive optical network. So the big one right now is GPON. This has been rolling out for many years now. This is gigabit. So the G means gig. So gigabit passive optical network. And gigabit passive optical network GPON is capable of 2.5 gig by 1.2. So 2.5 gig down, 1.2 gig up. The next real evolution to that, and there's many of these, but the biggest one in our industry right now is XGS PON. So XGS, X is 10, G is gig, S is symmetrical, and then passive optical network. So 10 gig symmetrical passive optical network. And what's it capable of? Yep, 10 gigs. So 10 gig up, 10 gig down. So that at a real high level is what PON is, a little bit about how it works. There's many other different terms. There's NG-PON, there's NG-PON2, there's XG-PON, there's 50 gig PON, E-PON, goes on and on. The biggest ones we see in the industry right now are GPON and XGS-PON. Thanks for listening. Hopefully this was useful. Let me know in the comments, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.